I'm chairman of the Poverty Truth Commission in Blackpool. Now, for those who've never heard, I'm just sat next to somebody who hadn't heard of us before until they got the invitation to come today. I think there are about 15 of them throughout the country now. And we started about nearly 2 years ago now. And it's based on this principle. Anything about us, without us, is not for us. You've got to puzzle that one out. Anything about us, that's you, without us, that's you, is not for us. They've got other agendas, perhaps. Okay? So it's all driven from the bottom rung, as you might say. It's all driven by what the people want, what the people see, what the people experience. And we've been involved in quite a number of activities unearthed by local people. And they've said, we don't know what to do next. From bullying in schools to, what else was there? Patient transport from the hospital. Quite a number of others. Anyway. So, and rubbish in the back alleys and so on. So we get involved in these sorts of things, but it's driven by the people who we serve, maybe, or who you are yourselves here now. So what I want to say today is, as we begin this journey, this is a journey which began because of the need for a bocce court. Do you know what bocce is? It's an Olympic sport, a disabled Olympic sport, and there isn't a court in Blackpool that's sufficient. So a man has to go down and who's in his 70s and put sticky tape on the ground to mark it out every week. So we get meetings, and from that has arisen that we are now going to get, or they are going to get, a bocce court. So we just open doors and go through them and have conversations with all people, ranging from the police to hospital, the hospital committee, the council, of course, and so on. And things start to move. But it's all driven from yourselves, from ordinary people. So is that enough now? I think we're going to hand over to Gillian.
While we were at Stanley Park Sports Centre, we wanted to find out what else was going on around there as far as how disabled people experienced this facility. Now, this place, you all know it, it was built in 1994, 2 years before landmark legislation came in to outlaw this kind of thing. Steps out of fire exits, for example, and this sort of thing. This is the disabled changing room. Looks like something from the 60s, does it not? Next door to the able-bodied changing. The able-bodied changing room's just next door and has recently been refurbished. We wanted to see what it was like for a disabled person to manage the room next door. Here it is. Here's Cal about to explain it all to us.
Yeah.
Okay, what's wrong with this room? No?
It's very small.
Oh, it's too small to turn around?
It's extremely difficult.
Yeah, that's too hard to turn around.
Yeah,
so what does Cal use then?
So
where do you go?
Usually if he does need to go and empty his bag, we do go in here. But I have to drive him, it's a real tight squeeze to close the door, turn him round, and it's quite difficult to do.
Okay. Whereas the able-bodied change rooms, let's go and have a look.
When you're out.
Wow, this is a lot nicer. Callum, what do you think of this room? Yeah. So this is all part of the story so far that has brought us to this place. But what we found out at Blackpool Sports Centre wasn't just all that we found out. And Emma's going to explain the side of the story that interested us, which is the whole plans for the town, the money that's coming into this town, and how disabled people are or are not represented in the plans.
I've got to the stage now where when anything new happens, I put freedom information requests in. So we've been struggling to get the bocce court sorted out. It's going to cost £30,000 for that, but we've got no money, so we have to wait. Yeah. They've just spent £300,000 resurfacing the Stanley Park Sports Arena. How many disabled people use it? We don't know. And the answer is none, because there's no disabled toilets there. They've just spent £110,000 refurbishing a tennis court at Stanley Park. Lovely. My son's a wheelchair user. So he sat here. It's gated, so because you have to pay to go into it. In order to get in, you've got to press a keypad. You get a key, you get the code having paid. The keypad's up here. You can't see the bloody thing. There are just basic things like this. I mean, toilets, unbelievable. You mentioned Ribby Hall. I was at Ribby Hall on Saturday night. One of my parties, a wheelchair user. Where's the toilets? Not even signpost. There was no disabled toilet in the function suite. You had to go down a separate alleyway to find it, and it wasn't even signpost. See, there's a blindness to the fact that people are disabled, and exactly what you said about there's a lot of people want to enjoy themselves. They can't enjoy themselves. They can't spend the money because the facilities are just not there. And this facility, the Revo Sports Arena, could be a real plus for Blackpool. It doesn't need for people with disabilities. It just needs to be capable of being used for people with disabilities.
I have a disabled son. He's autistic, bless him, and he struggles to walk very, very long distance. So I actually did an appeal for Robbie's transport, which got declined after 3 years of him having it. We did have a discussion about the walking. I live in literally like a cul-de-sac of Leighton. So literally you've got houses to go around, but I'm trying to go for the safest way to make sure it's quiet for him. There's no ambulances, it's all quiet, so there's not many people. Just to get away from the loud noises so it's safer for him. I actually had a committee lady say to me, but why? Wouldn't it be quicker going that way? She didn't take it into consideration. And then another man said to me, another committee member, what would you do if your son wasn't autistic?
Is this
I wouldn't be here in the first place. My son would go to another school,
Same as this.
the same as his little brother.
Yeah.
I've got 2 children.
So this was in an appeal with what the council?
Yeah, I got the whole pamphlet and then the letter that was saying declined.
She's got 2 sons. One goes to Leighton School and one goes to Park School. Because he was non-verbal, but the school's brought him on. He talks now. It's amazing. Right. But he's had transport for 3 years, and now they've decided he's not entitled to the transport. He doesn't meet the scope or something.
It does actually go on about cost on the thing, and there's nothing there. Nothing there on the cost.
In that, just about that experience, how did that make you feel going through that
It's awful.
experience?
There was 9
There
of
were
them
9
in the room.
councillors round the table.
Just me and my mum and 9 of them. It felt more like an interrogation
and
more than
4 of them
anything.
actually spoke, and he said, "Thank you for your heartfelt response, but why do you walk that way with him? Why
What
can't
would you do
walk
if
that
your
way?
son
It's
wasn't
quicker. It's quicker
autistic?"
to school." So she said he's got sensory issues and blah blah blah.
He has got ear defenders, but he doesn't like to wear them because they hurt his ears.
One of the stumbling blocks, I think, is the level of ignorance amongst of officers of what, one, the law is, but 2, the difficulties people face. And just silly examples like that. if you're sat in a wheelchair, you can't see where the keys are. But the parking issue is a really good one. 2 years ago, Blackpool did some further work on at the Enterprise Zone down at the airport and built a new changing facilities. No facilities for people disabled there. And when we got talking to them, it meets code. It does meet code, but it can't be bloody used by people with disabilities. After having a long discussion with the architects, they did redesign the car park so there were some safe drop-off points. But that was met code, but it wasn't friendly to people with disabilities. And that's what's missing. They don't understand and because they're not consulted, they're not going to change because it just meets code. And that's not good enough. It has to be welcoming. We've had the discussion, Andy, before about for the past 3 years, I've been trying to get a group to do Ride the Lights. Now, why should I have to fight to get people to take part in a thing that's been run by Blackpool, which is a fully inclusive authority? And the barrier is I have to put a risk assessment together, and I have to provide all the stewards for my people to take part in it. No. We're part of the community. It should be based what we want, not what your officers think's good for us.
For those that don't know me, I'm Andy Dival and I'm Head of Equality and Diversity at Blackpool Council. And back in the day, there was an awful lot of anxiety and problems and issues for disabled people in the town around the benefits system and access to work. And, you know, I'm afraid it looks like that situation may come back again. The government have announced this week that they want to look at the whole way in which people with disabilities benefits are assessed. And of course their agenda is very much to push people into the workplace pace of change by working together. And you will meet with, you know, a lot of support from people in the council. The council is more conscious of these issues than it's ever been. I'll give you some hot off the press news, which I shouldn't do, but I will do because that's what I'm like. But I've pressed for a while for the council to adopt a better leadership approach towards engagement on a whole range of equality issues, and the council is going to appoint a series of councillors with a specific remit for engagement with, you know, what we call vulnerable and hard to reach groups. So there will be a councillor, an elected member for disability engagement, you know, that will happen in the next few weeks, and I know who it is. I can't tell you who it is, or otherwise I will be shot, but I will be talking to him about coming to these meetings in the future, and that will be another source of help and support and links.